Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you for having me. Thank you to these organizers for bringing us all together here at the plaza. And last time I was in Montrose protesting, it was during the Iraq War, and we were a much smaller crowd. So it's really good to see you all out there. And I would like to thank you, all of you, the most for showing up despite the billions of dollars in propaganda that has been spent to keep you and keep us apathetic and alone at home, doom scrolling and binge watching Netflix and buying cheap plastic crap on Amazon. Showing up really is the first step. And you beautiful people, you have shown up. But we have to show up for more than just protest rallies. We need to show up for each other. We need to find ways to build community and watch out for one another in the coming weeks and months. We need to show up not just to vote to take back our school boards and our local governments, but we need to show up and knock doors and gather signatures. And your guys' efforts to recall, I'm going to mess up his name, Scott, your efforts to recall Scott have been inspirational for people across Western Colorado. We need to show up in places beyond our social media feeds. We need to show up to city council meetings with these kind of numbers. Every one of them, every county meeting, every school board meeting, we need to let them know we're watching and we're paying attention. We need to organize and show up when ICE is in our communities, kidnapping our neighbors and co-workers. And my understanding is there is now a rapid response network here in Montrose, and a number of people out there are probably confirmers. And I think one of the big things is we need to show up not just to these kind of one-day boycotts and one-day general strikes that come across our social media news feeds. We need to show up and support the school teachers union. We need to show up when other workers are on strikes and join them on their picket lines. And fundamentally, we need to show up by just simply buying less stuff. We need to find ways to consume less. We need to learn how to live without the latest and greatest plastic gizmos and newest iPhones. We need to normalize repurposing, reusing, upcycling. We need to organize communities that barter and trade and share so that we can begin starving the oligarchs of the one thing they love most, which is our money. Showing up is just the first step. The second step is to stay loud. Our freedom of speech is under attack like nothing we have seen in living memory. And today we're being loud, right? But we must stay loud. We need to stay loud in the letters to the editor of our local newspapers. We need to stay loud reaching out to our representatives, regardless of what party they're in. And we need to stay loud when we see injustice. We need to stop our cars. We need to get out our phones. We need to film. We need to put the evidence online. We're in an era where we can all be the media, and we need to, because injustice festers and grows in silence, and we will not remain silent. Currently, the regime is in overdrive, attempting to bully Americans into silence. They have declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization, and we all know that Antifa is short for anti-fascist, and it's an idea, not an organization. But fundamentally, they know that too, and they are currently and actively classifying all dissent and critique of the regime as anti-fascist. They will try to cast a wide net. But I tell you one thing, I know there's a lot more of us than them. They can't silence all of us. And if we're all loud, we can keep voices going. A much scarier portend of what is coming can be found in the National Security Presidential Memo 7. It classifies all anti-capitalist, anti-Christianity, anti-American thought, as well as extremism on migration, race, and gender as indicators of terrorism. Is saying trans people have the right to exist count? Do critiques of Christian nationalism count? Do teaching the true horrors of American slavery count? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I'll tell you one thing. I won't be silent, and neither should any of you. I know one thing. I would 100% rather be on a Department of Homeland Security watch list with all you beautiful people than on the Jeffrey Epstein list. This national security memo has not really been super well covered by our mainstream media. And our media, the legacy media system, is a problem. Legacy media has largely kind of gotten on their knees and kissed the ring, so to speak. And those who haven't almost certainly will. Making principled stands against fascism is bad for the bottom line, and fundamentally, all of these organizations have shareholders. ABC settled the 60-minute lawsuit. They had basically already won. CBS rehired Jimmy Kimmel because people like you took action. But they also quietly hired a right-wing ideologue, Bari Weiss, to head the news division at CBS. But let's be honest, our legacy media have been in retreat for decades. The era of Woodward and Bernstein are long behind us. Today, if we look at the news, even NPR and PBS, their coverage of the regime is doing a heavy work of normalizing the totally unacceptable. For too long, the media has served as stenographers for the powerful, but today with a rogue regime that is demanding Pentagon reporters clear their reporting first and is firing statisticians when they don't like the data, this reliance on government sources is unacceptable. Just reporting what Stephen Miller or Hegseth or Bondi say without pushback or fact-checking is insane, and it normalizes us to the violence and danger of these dark times. But looking out here now, seeing so many people here that are not believing the lies, seeing so many people here refusing to excuse the unexcusable, this is what gives me hope, that we have a chance here. We need to do more than just get our news from better sources. We need to support independent media outlets with more than likes and shares, but with subscriptions and donations, supporting outlets like a High Country News, the Colorado Times Recorder, Democracy Now!, or your favorite Substacks helps them stay loud. Which brings me to my final point. We must find ways to support the people and the organizations doing the hard day-to-day work of resisting. Let's take that money we save by not consuming and donate to organizations like the ACLU, who's gumming up the courts, who's taking the administration to court. Let's give that money to the Colorado Rapid Response Network, who is keeping an eye on ICE in our state. Let's give it to local organizations that are doing the dirt and doing the job here in our own towns all across Western Colorado. And we must find direct ways to support the activists and the candidates that are speaking out and who are being targeted for their truth-telling. Fundamentally, we must support each other as we resist. Without support, without a community, we are all vulnerable. And so one thing I like to do, and I don't know if we have time for it, but during the course of this march, meet 4 people you don't know. Introduce yourself. Say hi. This is how we start building these human connections in this community that will give us the platform to fight back against fascism from. And with that in mind, Montrose, we are going to march. We are going to march together. We're going to march in solidarity with each other because we all come here at this plaza on this day with different backgrounds and with different hopes and different passions and different pet projects. But today, we are marching in solidarity. We are going to march and we're going to keep each other safe, and ultimately, we are going to win.